results.
I mean, when you talk about that, election is a process. Election is not a one-day event, you know. So that starts from campaigns, agendas being set, people selling the agenda to wananchi there. But as we speak right now, one would ask the question, where you are being part and parcel as a founding member of Linda Wananchi, what do you see, especially when I again go back to election being a process where you're being allowed to sell your agenda across the country, where political state officers not being used in political campaigning? What do you see? And how does that affect the credibility of election?
Of course, there are some subtle attempts to subvert the democratic movements, the exercise of democracy. But I do not want to believe it has come to a point that we can say it's derailing democracy. What happened in Homa Bay is typical. You'll occasionally find it, as you have clearly said in the Moroccan proverb. These setbacks will meet them in a campaign process. So far, I wouldn't want to say it has gotten to a point that we can say there is a challenge in the issue, in the campaign process, towards the election. The only red flags that we need to raise is, again, two issues. One is the high number of persons who have not registered as voters, especially among the young people. The deliberate delay in releasing the ID cards for some sections of this country. But again, another red flag is the flagrant abuse of the provisions of the Constitution and the relevant legislation on citizenship, where this government has allowed foreigners who have not made it to constitutional threshold to register as Kenyans along the frontier counties of Marsabit, Wajir, Busia, Bungoma, Migori, who have been allowed to register as Kenyans, given ID, they purport to be allowed to register as voters. The target to raise about 2.5 million voters, unaccountable voters, who have no interest in what happens in Kenya, what we call wapiga kura kulipwa.
This is not the first time that this has been said. It seems to be something that folks believe is actually happening.
It is happening. It is happening. It is happening all over those frontier countries. I come from Busia, and I can give you, I have evidence. I have seen people coming who cannot either speak in English, cannot speak Swahili, cannot speak the local dialect, being lined up, coming with lorries, trucks, to register as Kenyans. I raised the alarm, and luckily enough, that process had to be halted in Busia. But I know in other parts, it's still continuing. And you see, the president set the tempo when he went on this narrative that the previous governments had disfranchised people on the borders, and they treated them second-hand citizens, allow them to register. We have no problem in people who live across the borders registering, especially, for example, in us in Busia. 70% of the community called Samia live in Uganda. At one time, you saw Mudi Awori was a vice president this end. His brother was a minister in the Ugandan government. So that's how we relate. We have no issue. But forcing people who cannot either speak English, cannot speak Swahili, cannot speak the local dialect, how do they identify themselves as locals? And so this kind of challenge that we are raising, we have raised it early enough, that please stop this advanced voter rigging, because if you bring in somebody that's got no interest in what happens here, once they vote, they leave you.